Can everybody hear?
Yes,
Oh, good.
I just got a couple emails from people saying, there was no link. I'm going to email them and,
Okay, sorry about that.
okay.
Usually a little bit faster than this. Look, Anna's not coming. We're getting her husband tonight. Hi, Anna. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Frank. Hi, Steve. And Jeff's probably slow because of my slow connection.
There we are.
Here it comes. Hi, Jeff.
Okay.
So I can hear everyone, but when I went to send emails, the screen disappeared and I'm not sure how to get it back.
So you don't have the Zoom screen up anymore?
Right,
Yeah. Huh.
but I can hear everyone talking.
Yeah, everyone's here. Anna and Jeff are now here as well as Frank and Steve.
Well, I'm going to close out and come back on and see what happens.
Okay. He's gone.
Oh, he did not.
It's not a nice word to use.
No,
No, it's still not a nice word.
this one's not in a row. This one.
Good evening, everyone.
There we go.
Good
Okay.
evening.
Now that I'm here, I'll call this meeting to order at 5:35. We'll start by reviewing the minutes. Frank, you probably noticed I made some additions and changes.
I got to see you do it online.
I'm sorry?
I got to see you do it live. I had it open on the screen. You get to see all your magical typing when you have that live.
So did you have any thoughts about anything that I added?
Oh, looks good. Yeah, you're a little more explicit than I am, but that's good.
Anyone else have any concerns, additions regarding the minutes?
Which minutes, which date? Because I've got two different ones.
4/12. We still haven't done 4/5, and part of that's my wife got COVID a little over a week ago, although she's recovered. But I didn't want to subject Frank to possibly getting infected.
Yeah, we don't need that. Yeah.
Yeah. So he and I, maybe between now, well,
Yeah.
definitely between now and the next meeting, we'll get
Go-
together and
Yep.
figure out the minutes from 4/5, but this is from 4/12.
Okay.
So not hearing any comments, do I hear a motion to accept the minutes from, I'm sorry, 4/26?
4/26.
That's
Yeah.
4/26.
Not the only thing I had some changes.
Okay,
Last paragraph. It starts, JQ talked with 5 architects.
yeah,
That's 3 architects.
okay,
And then the third line down, it says design build firm. We are looking for design build firm.
Yeah.
We're not.
Actually,
That's
I
design firm.
third line, I changed it.
Okay,
I took out that, I can read to you what the changes I made in that.
sure.
So I didn't know how many firms. So JQ talked with 3 architectural firms about developing the specifications for Shutesbury Elementary exterior envelope painting, including the replacement of rotted wood, which is extensive. Jones, Whitsett, and Greenfield are interested and may be available in the fall.
Mhm.
JQ will also ask Gale Associates. The building
Right.
committee is looking for a firm to develop project specifications in the fall/winter, which will be put out for bid. Ideally, the work would be done in the spring, summer 2024. How's that
Sounds
sound?
good.
Okay. And then I'll continue because I made some other changes there. Becky Torres mentioned we would have to go to the town meetings for the monies for the project. Jeff Quackenbush estimates that for this project, it could cost upwards of 100,000 plus to completely renovate the exterior of the school properly. We will need the firm to do existing drawings and specifications for the painting and replacement of rotted wood. Jeff Quackenbush estimates that the project may cost $60,000 for the drawings and specifications. And then I think it's pretty much the same after that.
Okay,
Okay,
good. And I made up all those numbers.
And we put them in writing for you.
Oh, good, thanks.
well,
I
your
recall you
estimate is
saying
probably better than anyone else's, even if it's made up. You were starting to say, Becky?
that, yeah, you said hundreds of thousands of dollars, right?
Yeah,
And I only put 100s because I didn't want to really scare you.
$100,000 plus. We have a plus there.
Yeah, but he said hundreds of thousands of dollars and scared the crap out of me.
yeah, that's when we thought you were having a heart attack after that.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, any other thoughts, comments regarding the minutes?
Good.
So do I hear a motion to accept the minutes as changed from 4/26?
I make the motion.
Second,
I'll second.
roll call vote, Cook,
okay.
McGinn,
Aye.
Quackenbush,
I
Sullivan,
Aye.
Dalmas, aye. Okay, short discussion of the inspections of the dam keepers and the Hearst House. Pretty straightforward buildings. The key thing with the dam keepers is the roof shingles are probably well past their life expectancy and quite a few have blown off. The roof sheathing is not exposed. There's no signs of leakage, but the dam keeper's house needs a new roof.
eventually it will need new painting or staining.
Yeah, there's the painting and then the structure, I'll call them the beams, the grade beams sit directly on the elevated concrete section of the dam. And there's a certain amount of rot and decay, pretty significant in a couple areas. And I guess at some point, it'll have to be jacked up and all that replaced with ground contact pressure treated material.
Hey, Becky, I have a question regarding, so does the town owns the lake, right?
Well, no, the town owns some portions of land under the lake, but the lake itself is a great pond. So by state statute, it has to be maintained to be open to the public.
Okay, where I'm kind of going with this is, are there town environmental groups we would have to get involved with this when we would replace the roof? Since it's sitting 4 feet away from water?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeff.
Saying, you're saying when we scrape off all that lead paint?
It can't be lead paint. It was just painted 12 years, 15 years ago.
They
It
scraped
will-
it and they scraped it in,
underlying
Jeff, so it's
thing-
all in the water, so.
Yeah, I think they got rid of paint before they painted it last time. I don't believe it's lead, but we have to have that tested.
Yes, before painting, I think that would be the prudent thing to do.
Yeah. Or just,
That'll cost a couple thousand. At least 1,500. Okay, that's what we have to do. That's what we have to do.
What
Oh.
about when it comes to the roof shingles? I mean, is there any environmental groups need to be involved with that? I don't know.
Conservation Commission will have to be.
Yeah, because we're not digging into the ground. There shouldn't be, I mean, they'll probably, yeah. We'll probably, if we potentially would have to do a notice of intent. Yeah, okay.
Good questions, Jeff.
We'll
all
put
that-
some wattles around it.
We'll have to
Wow.
put straw wattles all around it to keep it
Not hay bales. They don't like hay bales. They-
correct. They're too inexpensive.
Oh.
No, the wattles are easier to work with. That's the one benefit. But I'm
They're
sure,
just hard to stake into concrete.
yeah, I guess we're preventing the roofing nails from falling into the water.
There's been the shingles when they rip off the shingles.
Yeah, yeah, shavings.
And then
The-
potential
the
paint.
edge- The side of the building that is close to the lake, I don't think there's more than 1.5 feet, 2 feet at most of space. Because I remember sort of edging along that.
Yeah,
So it'd be hard to put something there that would prevent something from possibly, say, going past it. I'm wondering if the prudent thing to do is, when the lake is drawn down in the winter, there will be more exposed rocks surface in front of the dam. And maybe something could be put there that if we're worried about debris, you know how when they have the silt fence, I don't know what that fabric is, but it's probably at least 3 feet wide. Something like that.
Well,
might be
But in this case, I think it's typical tarps and things that you would use in construction. I mean,
I like that.
but so this project will put as, I don't know where it's gonna fall as a priority, but we'll have to work on the permitting first.
okay.
And there's a few other permitting projects ahead of it at this point, like the lake drawdown. That is going to be critical. So, okay. And it might turn out that in the end, they might say that it's not. We'll see.
Yep.
Okay,
But thank you for bringing it up, Jeff.
sure.
Okay. And then the Hearst House,
One thing I'd like to want to mention, I looked at the spreadsheet, Stephen, as I homogenized, is that the right word? I homogenized all the spreadsheets this afternoon, so they all look alike, and going forward, we can, they're just tab them and they print all the same. The thing I noticed you put on the dam keeper's house is greasing of the rod and the gate for the debris. I personally believe that's out of the venue of the buildings committee. That is, they have an engineer with a dam that they're getting a new engineer, and all that should be brought up with them. on how to maintain the dam itself, because we're only in charge of the building. And I don't think, especially the debris gate it has anything to do with the buildings committee. That has to do with the structure and the how the dam is used, and they have an engineer, and they're about to get a very expensive engineer and go through. And that should be addressed with the engineer through the dam keeper and the select board.
Sounds good, although I'd have to look at my comment. My intent was not to suggest that the gate itself gets greased because.
No, not the gate, the shaft or something, but it's,
Mr.
that's the
Kinder was
mechanics,
saying-
that's the mechanics of the dam. And I just, that, I know the dam keeper is concerned, but it's something that should be concerned. It shouldn't be in the preview of the buildings committee. Dam water release gate and trash rack. You wrote the dam water release gate wheel requires periodic greasing per dam keeper. Trash rack replacement in 2008 when dam was renovated, clogs with small debris. Elevate and repair to correct. And Mr. Tibbetts, we asked him if he was doing that anymore, and he's fully retired. He's the one who was going forward cleaning that. He said it was concerned, and he said it wasn't really fixed correctly when they did the 2008 repairs. I think that is nothing to do with the buildings committee, and that the select board really has to know that that's part of the dam and the engineering that. Because it's going to need to be corrected, but they paid an engineer all these years. Yeah, I don't know if Mr. Kinder has said to everyone said to the engineers have to stress it, not the building committee, because it's not part of the buildings. It's part of the structure and the function of the dam, which is the town's. It's not a building, so I think they have to address that.
Well, I would just say that I don't think there's a problem putting information into the spreadsheet. The fact that it may not be the town's responsibility, that in a sense is a separate issue, but if it's not the town's responsibility, then I think it's good to know that the appropriate parties need to be made aware that that's a responsibility.
Oh, it is the town's responsibility. I'm not saying it's not the buildings committee's responsibility is what I'm saying. It's the town's responsibility to maintain the dam because the town owns the dam. Right, Becky?
Yes.
And it's the engineer's responsibility to correct those things, because I'm not an engineer. We're lucky enough to have two architectural background people to do buildings, but I'm not a structural engineer.
The dam will be inspected, I think on the 15th of this month. Our engineer is arranging to do an inspection. And I agree with everything Frank's saying. The dam is not part of the buildings committee responsibility, except for the house and the roof and the things that are structures, not the ongoing parts of the dam.
And I would hope Mr. Kidder would make that, if he's involved with the dam inspection, he'd stress that with them and they write it up in their report. That's what we pay them to do. I think that's what the town pays them to do, I should say.
So then, Becky, would you prefer that there's no mention of those items that I put on the spreadsheet?
I don't think we can mention them, but I don't think there's an action level. I think just in the
Right.
notes is, this is what we were told and that's it. There's no action on it, no photos, nothing. And then we can say that it was mentioned to us, but I don't think as a buildings committee, we should take any action or put any action level on it because it's not our action to call. It's the engineers and the town and the select board who hired the engineer.
And there used to be a dam committee that has now consolidated into the LWAC committee. And they're taking a large role in helping be responsible for the issues that need to be fixed at the dam. So we can try to, so we could either share that information with that committee or just keep it in the notes like Steve suggested, where it's available but not an action item.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
so then when we assign action levels, we can decide what, I mean, there's no action that we would recommend. We might put not applicable.
Yeah.
But when we get to that, we can make that decision. So then with the Hearst House, with that building having been substantially renovated / rebuilt, what about, was it 7 to 9 years ago? Is that, am I remembering correctly?
Yep.
I think the only things of note are there's some algae growth occurring on the roof shingles. It would be prudent to install a zinc strip at the ridge on each side. That'll help to reduce that or eliminate it. And then the stain on the siding is already peeling and flaking.
It definitely is.
Yeah. And
Mm.
given the age, it's not lead.
Phew. See, when was the staining done?
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that the stain, the wood was very raw and it sucked up almost all the paint when they painted it the first time.
So do you know, is it paint or is it a stain?
Stain, I'm sorry. I think it's a stain.
Did the town peoples do it or did a company? Your,
It's a
your favorite,
volunteer project.
a volunteer project.
The painting only. The
Yep.
painting was a volunteer project. So it had to wait for people to return from their vacations and so I'm not sure what the timing should have been. It's, it looked really nice after it was done, but it was all fresh milled wood from Jim Aaron's, and the wood was, extra thirsty, from what I understand, by the time it got painted.
And Mr. Sullivan was correct. The building is in excellent condition. Even those hinges, those fancy hinges they put on the doors.
It's a beautiful building.
It is. Even the windows have, you can see the wavy glass in them. So that was nice to see. So.
Yeah. Yeah, Jamie Brown's brother did that project.
A good one.
Okay, so then next item is continue discussing the elementary school painting and replacement of rotted wood. Jeff, do you have any thing to say about contacting Gail?
Can't hear you, Jeff.
Still on mute.
Yeah. I didn't contact Gail yet because I thought we could talk to Gail this summer when they're out there for the roof.
Okay.
But I did communicate today with Hill Engineers and Architects, and they declined to give us a proposal. They said they were interested about a month ago, but they've changed their mind.
Oh, interesting.
So at the moment, we only have the firm in Greenfield, Jones Whitsett, who said they might be interested in the fall, and maybe Gail. I can't find anybody else who's interested in this project. And I've contacted Bruce Coldham and he didn't have any recommendations, and I contacted some other architects I know. Nobody has any recommendations on who would do this kind of job. Becky, what are the rules in regards to when we need to hire a design firm?
The rules are much more, they're looser for consultants and professionals. So architects fall under that category. So we can reach out and talk to more people. We could opt in to try to do, if we put a bid out just to attract more people. if we can do it using either bid docs or combis, so we reach a lot more people.
When you mean bid, you mean a request for proposal?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, for design services?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
How
we
about
could do
is
a
that-
request
is
for
it-
qualifications. Either
well,
one.
okay, we have to go through that first.
We don't have to. We can
Okay.
choose where we want to dig in.
Okay. But there's no dollar threshold on, that says you have to bring on board a designer?
I think there is.
Okay. I thought there was. But I don't know what.
But
don't
I
know
think it's over 200,000
in terms of fee or in terms of construction cost.
construction project.
Hmm.
I gotta read through my.
When Becky comes back, I have a question. I'll just wait for it. Becky?
Yeah.
I remember when Gail was at the school and you had a drawings package for them, existing drawings.
Yep.
Of the school. So does that package include elevations of every exterior wall, including inside the courtyard?
I think it does. I've got that package.
And I
Also.
can make additional ones if you would like. Like this is what I have.
Yeah, that's what she made me a copy of.
Yeah.
So we're looking for somebody to, in a sense, take those elevations, but then identify the areas that the wood rot needs to be replaced and explain to them how to do it. So a bidder can quantify.
So I guess you're thinking that's more than we'd like to try to tackle.
Well, that's kind of driving my questions to Becky. When do we have to bring in a professional? None of us are professionals. We're Mo, Larry, and Curly's.
No, we're PPs, previously professional, right?
Oh, okay.
Oh. Anna is currently working.
Yes.
Okay, so she's a current professional.
You're a
We
C-
should be
Staying
under
on
Anna's
mute.
wing.
I was staying muted strategically there. No one needs
Because,
to first thought.
I think we need a professional because I don't know how I assume we have to get that old stain off the building before we put the new stain on. And I don't know how you do that. I don't know if you want to attack that building with a
They
pressure
painted
washer.
it over it last time.
Huh?
They painted over it last time.
Yeah, well, I don't think that's a good idea because there's so much green.
And we specifically want someone to, make sure that all the rotted wood is taken out because that's part of the eyesore of the building is the rot.
Mhm.
You don't want to put lipstick on the clown. We want it to look brand new. Dress her up because she deserves it.
So Jeff, the estimated construction cost has to be less than $300,000, not to if it's less than 300, there's no recommended soliciting qualifications. So if the design is under 30,000 or the construction is less than 300,000, the design bids, the design bids don't require specific advertising.
Just, you mean, when you say the design bid, you mean design proposal,
Design.
hiring a designer?
Yeah, if we were to go out to bid, and it was under 30,000, we could just make a few phone calls. We don't have to do. So as long as the designer costs stay under 30,000 or the construction stays under 300,000, we
Okay.
can just use best practices and find somebody by
Okay.
phone.
Right.
Otherwise, we have to start advertising and putting together a design, following the designer selection procedures.
Okay, how about guys, if I do this, how about if I call Musso? And see if Gail would be willing to give us an idea how much it would cost to repair the rot and restain the building. But if they want some money to, to pay their cost estimating department and to do some of this, some work, are we willing to spend some money to find out how much we think this is really going to cost? To see if we're under this threshold?
Like $1,000?
I don't know. I have no clue. I mean, I'll ask Musso.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah, and
All
they
right.
certainly had a sense of what it was going to take. I think that, they have a good handle on where the rot is already.
Yeah, and their firm does, and they do, their job is they do envelopes. I mean, they're the right kind of firm to do this project. The problem is they're sitting over there in happy little Boston. And we were hoping to get somebody closer.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let me talk to Musso.
But Cole has a favorite new restaurant on Route 202, so we can get him out here.
What do you mean his favorite restaurant on 202? What restaurant?
There's the New Salem store has wonderful, wonderful sandwiches.
Okay,
And they've got Valley asparagus now too, in case you were wondering.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, because I thought you meant that restaurant that's almost at the entrance onto Route 2 on the right-hand side.
Herrick's.
Oh,
They-
Route 2, yeah, Herrick's.
Mm.
I don't know. He probably hasn't been there yet.
Well, okay. Well, let me give him a call.
Thank you.
See what I can find out.
Okay. Mr.
And this
Sullivan,
I'm sorry, Steve. I just want to mention this project will have to go to capital planning, just so everybody's clear. As we put together numbers and stuff, that this will, especially if Jeff's correct about hundreds of thousands, it's definitely will go to capital planning.
And that is when they're like in the winter, right?
In the fall.
In the fall?
Yeah,
Okay,
October, November should start.
okay,
The building committee rep to capital planning is Steve Sullivan.
okay.
okay,
We're paying now for doing it on the cheap the last time.
Oh.
Yep, everything rotted, huh?
I think he's right.
I heard an earful last night's meeting, so.
Did you attend a select board meeting?
I did. And if Mr. Groves had been at the school committee meeting, he would have known why we had to have another capital planning committee meeting on those cameras.
Yep.
That's all why, yeah. Can't take the kids' money. It's capital expense, so. All fun, all good.
okay, so moving ahead, Steve Sullivan, were you able to check out that clogged surface drain outside?
I checked it out, but I only half-hearted did it. I gotta do it again and give it a good old try.
Uh-huh.
I think I can get it to go.
Oh, good.
It's two elbows and
Would it help to have help? I mean, does help another person help?
you had Olaf, right? I don't know who.
Yes,
Olaf
I
is.
did.
Olaf is doesn't bark very much.
Oh, so that's a dog. I was wondering what that who that reference was to.
I didn't know it was anyway, and I looked on the highway department's website and I couldn't find Olaf's name, so I thought he was a new hire.
Right.
Uh,
Anything on that?
Okay. Anybody else have anything else to discuss this evening? Yes, Becky.
So you guys I told you that I had been trying to forge ahead with the request for additional funding for the building committee for projects for next year. So I just wanted to update you on that. The capital planning voted, can't remember. Anyway, it passed
4-2.
capital planning 4-2. No, 4-2 is finance committee. I think it was unanimous in the capital planning. And then when it got to finance committee, Bob Groves requested that the building committee write a list of projects that the funding would be used for. I had given a verbal list of the open items, and then I explained that you were developing an inventory of needs in various buildings. We did concretely know that the Pella Windows project was moving ahead at the town hall, but other than that, I was uncertain if what other work would be complete by the end of the year. That the committee had looked at doing the roof at the highway barn, but had held back on that, number one, for lack of funding, and number two, to figure out, to review their priorities as more of them became apparent as you go through additional buildings.
When you say year, are you talking calendar year or fiscal year?
Fiscal year.
So we're talking to the end of June.
Yes. So I'm
Okay.
trying to secure funding for FY24, starting July 1.
Okay. You guys know the difference between a calendar year and fiscal year?
Explain it.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna make it tough on me.
I mean, I know calendar year. I think I got that. Fiscal
Okay.
year
Okay.
starts when?
Okay, you're on your, so the fiscal year in the Commonwealth runs from July 1 to June 30th, right, Becky?
Yes.
So fiscal year 24 starts in 23.
So this
July
July
1,
1st, this July 1st begins fiscal year 24.
Right. Yep.
So all this to say, there's been a lot of conversation at Finance Committee and at the Select Board meeting about this fund. It took a while for people to understand that it's a fund, that it's not just a line item in the budget, that we replenish the fund. The difference between a fund and a line item is if you had a line item at the end of the year, the money is either carried forward for a specific project or the balance of the money goes into free cash. With a fund, the money gets allocated to the fund and then you use it for projects and it doesn't get dumped into free cash at the end of the fiscal year. So the money for the building committee has been in a fund for the last 20 years. And when the fund gets low, a request has been made to refresh it. There were 2 transfers done during COVID or before COVID for $5,000 each. And that's where the $20,000 came from originally that we currently have. When the window project is done, the balance will be closer to $14,000. So there's an article on the town meeting warrant for $20,000 for the building committee fund. That amount could be reduced if the feeling was you're not going to ever use $35,000 this coming year. But given the open number of projects that you're finding, it might be best to just leave it at the 20,000
Well,
incoming.
I think what
and
our,
then
I think what we talked about, and when you brought up in one of the 2 meetings ago, is to try to buffer our money, because if you look at the meeting minutes, we have a list of small projects that we're gonna try to eat up. We will not eat it up before fiscal 23. I mean, yeah, fiscal 23 ends in June 30th, but we have those projects, the roof on the dam keepers, the front door of the old town hall, and et cetera, and the new roof at the DPW. But the feeling was at the meeting that I remember is that we have to have enough slush in there if we were going to have to hire a consultant for the painting of the exterior of the elementary school. So that's what I thought we wanted to keep that money high, because we don't want to wait another year
Right.
after this to try to paint that school. We want to get that wrong, because it's still going to have to go to capital planning. But we might need, and at the time we didn't know, Jeff said $60,000, because that's what the last one cost us. Who knows? Maybe it'll be 10 with Gail, maybe it'll be 20, but that's the money we'll need. And I think that's why we wanted the extra 20.
Okay.
So that's the
Sounds good.
reason, that's the reasoning behind that. And if we don't have that, we have to wait a full year to pay Gail or some design firm that we feel we need a professional to really analyze the elementary school. But we've been waiting long enough on the elementary school. It needs
Right.
to be done. So this is why we wanted that money.
Okay.
And and Mr. Groves said it was a little late, but we didn't figure that out till 2 meetings ago. So,
Right.
we can't, the finance committee had ended their year, but we couldn't figure it out till we were asked the question.
Right. And the other issue is, I don't think Bob could tell you when I brought, in the past, when those dollar amounts were requested from capital planning. I pushed them through just like I've been trying to do this one. And outside of, when they were doing larger projects, they did not provide specific details. And his big issue this year was, as a capital planning member, after 7 years of being on capital plan, he read the bylaw and discovered that it says that projects should be submitted by February 1st. And for the majority, they all have been. But when something has come up that is either, for whatever, that has a reason, like the fact that we have a new building committee who's figuring all these things out and building all these tools, the fact that they came a little bit late, but still within the select board's parameters to get the request through, the votes have been that it's a legitimate request despite the bylaws saying February 1.
Okay.
So that's where we're at. Things are moving forward. Steve, I want you to know that the chair of the finance committee will be reaching out to you, just requesting that you have a short presentation for town meeting ready. So I'm giving you the
Which
heads
Steve are you speaking to?
You.
up.
Okay. Stephen works better because then I know.
I'm
who-
sorry,
Yeah.
Steve.
Because there are 2 of us here.
Yeah, I apologize.
Okay, so a short presentation. When? At town meeting?
Yep. Can't remember the number and I'll send you a copy of the
13 or
warrant.
14?
Yeah, I think it was 14.
14, yeah.
And I'm sorry, 14 refers to what?
Article 14, I
The-
believe, is the article that
The
you'll.
warrant at town meeting, Article 14 warrant.
Okay, so the presentation is on some of the projects that we feel are sort of that we're looking at.
And sort of the points that Frank was just making about making sure we're prepared to get the work done ahead so we can go out to bid on to complete the school project, the paint and I guess this
Yeah.
project isn't even painting, it's dealing with the rotted wood.
Painting and rotting wood.
Will it include paint, Jeff, do you think?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been terming it the envelope improvement.
Okay,
Manila envelope.
But the monies that we want to have available are for the consultant who would be essentially creating the package of specifications, correct?
The bid
Right.
documents. The bid documents.
And I think in the past, they haven't done it this way, and that's why monies have gone the way they have. So we're trying to be, we're doing this to be proactive for the future so that when we have a bid, the bid documents are made and the bid goes out, and then we send it to capital planning saying, this is the numbers we're looking at. We're going to need, $200,000, as Jeff said. And then, they can look at it then rather than do it not ass backwards. It has been done in the past where we find out all the surprises at the end and there's cost overruns. We're trying to be upfront and get everything, our I's dotted and our T's crossed.
sounds like a good plan.
Mhm. Cool beans.
Good, Stephen?
I'm sure I'll have questions, but when's town meeting? June what?
3rd. This is when you schedule a vacation really quick and see who else is gonna be.
If you're not here, I'll do it.
Well, I am going away on the 16th, but I'll be here the 3rd.
Wonderful.
So with this presentation, I'm going to identify any project that we consider on our plate. I mean, like the DPW roof, the roof on the dam keeper's house, painting and staining or painting or staining of the Hearst house, the dam keeper's house, all those things, right?
Right.
And that's why we want this additional, and I think really the big thing for us right now is to have monies for the consultant.
Exactly. I think that's why we wanted the extra 20,000, because if
Yeah.
it came in over, we'd have nothing for the other projects. But I think the main reason the main thing for me, I can't talk for you all, is that we got to get the painting done on the school because it put it off forever.
Yeah.
And and if we're behind, we want to be on top of things. They do the roof, and then we come in right after the roof is done, and hopefully in the fall, or the spring of next year, the building gets painted.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I will work on something, and I can talk with, can I talk individually with Becky or Frank about how I'm approaching this without it being a open meeting?
I'm not a committee member, so you can always talk to me without it being
Oh, okay.
a problem.
And I
Without,
can always talk to just one person.
Yeah.
Like when you talk to Frank. And I mean, I don't know, does anyone else have any suggestions, things I should consider? Or when standing in front of townsfolk?
850 people. So I showed up that last year, right? For the
It was just about 600.
600, yeah, 600, yeah.
It'll probably be closer to 150 this year, 150 to 300. In and out.
Okay.
So it
Okay.
won't be as intimidating. Okay.
So then when I present this, I know people can come up and make their comments to it. Am I then going to respond to them? Or do people just say why they are opposed or why they support this? And then,
If they ask a factual question, I mean, a real, not an opinion. If they ask facts, you try to respond to all the factual questions and give them all the information you can factually.
And Mr. Groves will ask both.
And Jeff might be there and he can answer some questions and Hannah can answer questions. And there'll be a chance to introduce the committee too.
so
I think the biggest thing you're gonna get is, from a lot of people in the town, why do we actually have to hire a professional? Can't we just call Mo, Larry, and Curly?
So Jeff will write you a nice answer to that question. He'll put it on a 3x5 card.
because they've retired.
Is it, Jeff?
Don't forget Shem.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
who could?
Who was that, Steve?
Temp.
Shem.
Well, there's
Shem.
Shem,
Oh,
and then
Shem.
there's their cousin Joe.
Right.
Got it.
I've had more than one person be confused that I was on the library committee and want to bend my ear about the library budget, so might want to be prepared to deflect that.
Yeah,
Well,
that's-
that's not the library isn't the art bailiwick. That's the difference.
of course, Jeff and Stephen are on both.
Sorry.
No, it's just, they're not as prone to deflecting because they're already.
Right.
Okay, so I think, and Stephen, I think there's going to be one more meeting before town meeting or not? Are we at that point where we talk
Hang
about
on.
meetings?
Well, in 2 weeks, so the 24th, right? If today is the,
Yep, 24th.
What do the roof bids do?
The 17th.
Okay, so we'll know before the next meeting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got
And-
any questions, Jeff?
There were a couple at the walkthrough. Oh, and that was
Okay.
the other thing is, I want to save the solar panels that are coming off the roof. I know they're really old. Do you think they're not worth saving?
how old are they?
20 years.
My understanding is at that point, in terms of their age, they're not worth keeping.
It's like a 20-year-old computer. They don't make software updates for it. They don't, to connect the connectivity to it is probably archaic or.
They're not, they wouldn't be nearly as efficient as what's available today. They lose efficiency over time. And just given the continuing improvements in the technology of panels, I don't think they'd be worth keeping. Unless you were going to use them for something other than solar panels.
Why do you want to keep them?
Oh, I was hoping they still had some minimal value left as solar panels. Or, there's folks that can't afford new systems. But I should probably just forget about that and have them get rid of them. From how you're advising.
Yeah, rather
Well,
than,
unfortunately, I agree, because you'd have to add, you add the labor component to reinstall them plus other ancillary materials. And so you start spending a lot on an old system that has those downsides that Steven said.
Okay.
That was
Thank
sort of like plug and play, or just, keep them, it was more straightforward to just start using them again. I'd probably reconsider.
Okay. That's a good answer.
Okay, anybody have anything else? Well, then do I hear a motion that we close the meeting?
I make a motion, we close the meeting.
Second,
Second,
roll call, Cook,
okay.
McGinn,
Aye.
Quackenbush,
All right.
Sullivan,
Aye.
Almus, aye. Thank you, everyone. See you in
Thank
2
you.
weeks.
Hi, guys.
Take care. Good night.
Do I have to wear a tie when I present at this meeting?
A bow tie.
Touch-
Oh, I
you
got
guys.
bow ties. I have a serious collection. I found out as a home inspector, if you have a regular tie, you bend over and it's in your way. So
Ah,
early in my career, the company I worked for, we actually were required to wear a coat and tie. So I wore bow ties.
perfect.
I have a serious collection.
Does it spin?
Pardon?
Does your bow tie spin?
No, I didn't. I had a collection of non-spinning bow ties,
All right.
all hand tied.
Good.
All
Huh?
hand tied. All hand tied. No
Oh,
No
them-
clip-ons, no clip-ons.
No clip-ons. Okay, everyone.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Um,
Good night. Thank you. Bye.